Do you ever wonder if you just sold it all, stretched to the absolute max and got one watch, what it would be and if you'd be happy with it? Me too, and I'm about to do it out loud, right in front of you. The last one I don't think you're going to like. Whether you're buying or selling, for all your watch needs, visit Watchfinder.com. It's straight off the beaten track. We go for our first one watch collection to the little Swiss manufacturer Armin Strom. I say little because the building is cute and small, but within it lies virtually the entire capability to make a watch. Thanks to some shrewd investment in cut-price machinery during COVID, Armin Strom has an unbelievable setup for complete end-to-end watchmaking. The Armin Strom Gravity Equal Force is an example of how that benefits you, packing extremely high-level watchmaking, including world-class hand finishing, check out the bevels, into a watch that costs just £16,000. Now, that's a lot of money, but for a low-volume, high-end watch with a unique constant force transmission, it's actually remarkable value. It would be foolish to leave stainless steel sports watch cash just lying on the table, and the good people at Lange Söhne are no fools. But instead of drawing an octagon and taking the afternoon off, they went at it the Lange Söhne way. That is to say, this thing is bananas. The whole genre of luxury sports watches is dominated by the idea of superficial simplicity, a basic watch with complex looks. The Odysseus flips that on its head and makes a very complicated piece of watchmaking look very simple. There's a big date and day either side, with no immediately apparent way to quickset them. That's because the crown guards double up as pushers to do the job discreetly, and when you feel the very solid click, very satisfyingly too. And I should hope so too for £25,000, more than twice that in titanium. Looking for an Audemars Piguet, a complicated one, in gold, for around the price of a Daytona. Sounds like a scam, but it's absolutely true. This is proper condense the collection and go it alone territory. I'm talking about the Jules Audemars Dual Time, a watch from before the time Audemars Piguet started harvesting from its magic oak tree. There's a date, power reserve and dual time with day-night indicator tucked into a very classical 41mm gold case that feels like the kind of watch you could very easily settle down with forever. It's not the most exciting, but it'll outlast any trends and is stunning to boot. You won't find more for less with a big 3 name on it. The darling child of modern watchmaking, H. Moser can seemingly do no wrong. If you're sick of the status quo and want a watch with guts, there are much worse places to look than an H. Moser Pioneer Center Seconds. Available in a range of pop-in colours, it simultaneously looks very familiar and yet very different, thanks to a sculpted case, unusual hands and the caliber HMC 200 movement. It's got all the quality you'd expect from the old guard like Patek Philippe, but minus the pipe and slippers. It's crisp and fresh, free of the stuffiness we've come to expect of watch collecting. These are the guys that made a watch out of cheese after all. IWC aren't exactly known for their subtle approach to watchmaking. The big pilot is to delicacy what the prodigy is to a cosy Sunday afternoon indoors. But whilst the Portuguese also measures up at a sizable diameter, it's somehow managed to bypass the rest of the collection as a watch that oozes class. If you think it looks like a classic pocket watch, that's because it's based on a classic pocket watch. The original a wearable version of the marine chronometer produced by IWC at the time. Here it comes with a Perpetual calendar complication too, which, as an only watch candidate, packs a lot of clout. Gorgeous looks, industrious heritage and a top-tier function. Could be the one. It is big, yes, but the Explorer II is also a master of many trades. There are few watches left in the Rolex collection that haven't been polished to within an inch of their lives, and that makes the Explorer II a rare selection that really can do it all. At 42mm, it's not small, but it's still very wearable thanks to the copious amounts of brushed finishing on the case and bracelet. The pop of colour in the GMT hand stops it from fading into boring obscurity. Whether you choose a white or black dial, it's going to balance class and practicality in exactly the way a one-watch collection should. You can snap this one to your wrist and not take it off again until your dying breath. And one advantage is that of all the Rolex watches, this one isn't so crazy on the resale, so getting one, once you've sold off your collection, should be a bit easier. If you're holding out for a classic chronograph, then I've got just the thing. It may not be a daily wear, so you might have to go some days with the naked wrist, but the days this watch does get worn are going to be very special. It's the £45,000 Vacheron Constantin Corne de Vache, and it's a love letter to the incredible chronograph watches of the 1950s. Those watches used Le Magne calibers back then, and this still does today. You might think that's a cop-out, but when you see the efforts Vacheron Constantin has gone through to bring it to the standards of a top 3 brand, you'll understand. The entire watch is a masterful work of unbelievable quality, and also restraint, avoiding the mess of modernisation some vintage reissues are plagued by. There are notably worse ways to tell the time. Okay, so this one's a commitment at £50,000, but if you're looking for a watch that really is endgame, this is it. Oddly, it's neither Swiss nor mechanical, but please don't let that put you off. This is the Credor Eichi II, the Seiko Group's most luxurious brand, expressed in the most luxurious way. At first glance, the Eichi II is very simple and perhaps almost disappointing, but it's in the details that it really, and literally, shines. For the dial, fashioned in white porcelain, the markers aren't printed, but painted by hand. It's unnecessary, but hugely impressive as a celebration of the ultimate in human artistic ability. And the movement, the spring drive 7R14, has polished bevels so deeply shiny and so impossibly thick that they make a Patek Philippe look like a Friday afternoon job. It's the ultimate in-the-know watch, and to be honest, the rest of the collection would be disappointing by comparison even if you could keep it. If you want to keep it Swiss and want something a bit more in your face, then how about the Breguet Tradition 7027? These are inspired by the subscription pieces made by the man himself, styled in the classic French way of making pocket watches. Only this is a wristwatch, and the movement, rather than being tucked into the back, is out on show up front. This watch is honestly one of the forgotten masterpieces of the industry, hiding in the shadow of the big three. But that's to your advantage, because not only is it a historically legendary watch to have as a single piece, it's also woefully bad on residuals. That means you can grab one for around the same price as a Rolex Daytona, which pales in comparison to this. If you like watchmaking and want to put the lot on an example that best represents that, this is it. Not every collector is a celebrator of watchmaking history, so what if you're looking for something that combines classic slimline watchmaking with something a bit more modern? Whilst the Richard Mille RM33 may be a broad 45.7mm across, the micro rotor movement shrinks the height right down to just 6.3mm, making it one of the most wearable Richard Milles out there. A curved profile increases comfort, and a skeletonized dial makes 100% sure everyone knows it's a Richard Mille, even if it does lack the classic tonneau case. You'll still need a pretty impressive collection to consolidate for this one though, with it changing hands at over £80,000. If you had the chance to boil it all down into one, first, would you? And second, what would you do it for? Let me know down in the comments below. Please do like and subscribe, and if you're looking to buy or sell a watch, visit watchfinder.com.